We are essentially one day exactly 24 hours, almost to the minute, from the NHL trade deadline, and all eyes in the NHL world are trained right here in the Triangle. They're focused right in on two individuals. One, Mikko Rantanen. Two, Eric Tulsky, the GM, that gets to decide what and who and where and who to include in conversations, who to have conversations with, who to have fake conversations with. I'm going to just stand on what I've been saying all week. I don't think the Canes should trade Mikko Rantanen unless they get their doors absolutely blown off by an offer. Unless it's a true Godfather offer. They can't refuse. But I will admit this. I'm starting to think they might. Right? There's two different things, right? One is what you think someone should do. One is what you think they will do. And they don't always line up. I'm starting to think they might.
It's feeling more and more real.
It's enough people that you trust start saying that, the calls are maybe being initiated by Tulsky or no, he's canvassing. You start seeing reporters that aren't going to be throwing out reports without sources. Enough of them are saying something, you kind of have to believe it a little bit. I will say the overanalyzing has gotten kind of crazy. Did you see they had an optional team skate yesterday?
I did not.
Rantanen skated.
Look at
that
him.
means he wants to be here.
Look at that.
If you go on Kane's Twitter right now. Do you know that he was at morning skate this morning but did not participate in the open locker room with the media? That means he has something to hide. There are details that can just be, that's how today went. There are pieces of information you can learn that doesn't have to swing your confidence meter on whether you think Mikko Rantanen is going to stay or not 180 degrees. All of that is possible. All of it is possible and maybe even advisable, right? Just take the big picture in. Don't flip and flop every which way. And as a team, right, they have to try to focus on playing. As you hear Rod Brind'amour, the head coach, he did talk to the media, and this is what he had to say.
We don't talk about it. It's out of our hands, And certainly from the players' perspectives, they got a job to do, and we know how it works. It's a business. I think you look around the room, almost every guy's been on a different team at some point, so everybody kind of understands it. But at the same time, that's not what we're thinking about. We got to go out and do your job.
I'm feeling a little competitive. Can we play a game?
Go for it.
Let's play a game. The game is called Who is Playing Games. I have to remind myself of this, especially around trade deadlines, especially NFL draft coming up. There are certain times on a calendar for each team where you should believe almost nothing of what you hear, but then suddenly, like, you get a piece of information, you want to believe it, you talk yourself into it. This is smokescreen season. Right? Everything is about leverage. So when you hear a leak, right, something from a source, when you hear a report, one of the first questions that should pop into your mind is, who does this benefit? Right? Because if a reporter says sources say, somebody told them that, right? That source could be anybody, but somebody told them that. Who does it benefit? All right? So let's look at this from Mikko Rantanen's perspective. Maybe Mikko is playing games. By the way, would be completely within his right. Maybe he wants to hit the open market. Maybe he wants to maximize his dollars. Maybe he's got a little Kirk Cousins in him, and he's just saying, if I hit the open market and get a bidding war, I am going to get paid so much astronomical money and then get to choose where I go. Who doesn't want to have that power? Maybe that's what he's thinking. And it didn't matter who. He wasn't going to sign with Colorado. He wasn't going to sign with whoever Colorado traded him to, and he won't sign with whoever the Canes trade him to if that happens, right? Maybe he wants to hit the open market. If that's the case, guess what I would do if I were him? I would tell Tulsky, I haven't decided yet. I'm still weighing my options. Why? Because then maybe they'll stick around in Carolina, and if you just want to hit free agency, I think the Canes are a good place to ride it out. You'll play postseason hockey. You'll get to play with your childhood friend Sebastian Aho from your home country. And if things go south, if there's something like an injury, if there's something like you really tank your play, that Canes offer is going nowhere. They've already invested enough. If it's not like that'll go away. So if you just ride it out in Carolina, yeah, I'm going to say I consider it, even if that's not how I actually feel. Now, here's the other side, right? Let's look at it from the team side. What could they be leaking? Remember those reports I mentioned about how everybody is being canvassed? The league is being canvassed. Eric Tulsky has been checking the price on what they can return in a Mikko Rantanen trade with teams that would bring him in as a rental and with teams that might have a chance to sign him long-term and all of this talk. Well, if I'm Eric Tulsky and I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt I'm not trading Mikko Rantanen before the trade deadline. Right? I traded for him. I did my math correctly when we traded for him. I still think there's a good chance we can sign him. If he's on the fence now, I think we can get him on our side of the fence by July. I'm not trading him. Guess what I might do? Tell everybody I'm thinking about it. Why? Because no other teams are going to make gigantic moves when they think it might miss out on Mikko Rantanen. Right? Dennis Max is back there with you, shadowing you all day. Max, who works for us now, new guy, he was bringing up today that the Brock Nelson sweepstakes are heating up. People are poking around about Brock Nelson.
That's right, New York Islanders center.
Well, let's be real. If you have some prospects to burn, right? You have some young players you're interested in moving. We could make the offer for Nelson, but do you think we could package it and get Mikko Rantanen? Right? I don't want to make that move until I know Rantanen's off the table. Let's call Tulsky. They said he's canvassing. Remember, that's kind of how the Canes ended up, at least I believe, with Rantanen. Right? They're poking around with JT Miller, poking around with a few other guys, and then kind of like, whoa, the price for Miller is getting really high. We might be able to get Rantanen for that. Flipped it over, got Rantanen. Tulsky could be playing games. Mikko Rantanen could be playing games. And if you're someone from a rival of the Canes, maybe someone in a metropolitan race, maybe someone who I don't know, just likes to see other contenders be upheaved a little bit, yeah, I would be spreading. Oh, guess who called us today? Tulsky. Telling that to every reporter I know, even if he was calling to ask about our backup goalie. I'm going, yeah, Tulsky called. You can figure out why. Let that permeate. It's smokescreen season. The reasons that I think you don't trade Mikko Rantanen haven't changed. You may think the possibility of re-signing him is near zero, but it's never zero. Can you win? Like, let's say you just catch absolute fire. I know it doesn't look good right now at times, the way they're playing, but let's say you catch absolute fire, you win a Stanley Cup. Is he going to walk away from a Stanley Cup winning team that's offering him $105 million? Maybe you can do some math, right? The cap's going up. The Canes are going to have a boatload of money. Maybe you look at the future of your salary cap and go, heck, 14.2 per year? I don't know. How crazy do you want to get, Tulsky?
Want to get weird? Let's get weird.
Maybe he'll fall in love with the area. Maybe he didn't know that there's a new park with cool slides for toddlers in Cary. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking of because I got the 3-year-old. I don't think he has any kids. But maybe he falls in love with the area in the next 3 months. Maybe, as I said earlier, you don't wish this, but maybe he gets hurt. Market changes. Canes are there saying, hey, you're still one of us. Crazier things have happened than someone changing their mind from a trade deadline gut feeling to a long-term extension a week later. I don't think you trade him. But I have a feeling that metal, that belief will be tested over the next 24 hours pretty aggressively. Because all the reasons why I think you have to take the chance with Mikko Rantanen, every other team in the league is thinking the same thing. I know it's not the same, but I am overly obsessed with it, so I'll pretend like it is. There have been trades in my Dynasty Fantasy Football League, and guess what my first reaction is? Someone else get trades for somebody, and I go, man, why didn't I call about that guy? I could have reached out. Why did I just sit there? You're darn sure that feeling is times 1,000 when it comes to the best players in real times 1,000,000 when it comes to the real players in professional sports. There's not anybody in the league that is going to want the Canes to trade Mikko Rantanen and them go, I didn't think they actually would, so I didn't even call about it. So your phone's ringing off the hook for the next 24 hours. That's going to test your mettle. I would only take the deal if I absolutely have to take the deal.
By the way, if he gets held out of the lineup tonight, you know something's about to go down.
Yes, and that is not like what I said about like, oh, he showed up at voluntary skate. That is like, oh no, that's a real sign.
We saw it last year with Michael Bunting.
Yeah.
Michael Bunting got held out of a game for potential trade reasons, and then all of a sudden, Jake Gensel's in Carolina, and Michael Bunting's in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's in Nashville. Go figure.
And that's true for any sport, right? If the trade deadline's coming clear, and somebody randomly is held out of a lineup, that usually means the deal might not be done, but they don't want the deal to fall through because they sprained an ankle in this one.
Exactly.
So yes, pay attention to that, and we'll let you know if we hear anything like that. Although they did waive Riley Stillman today.
Yeah, defenseman Riley Stillman got put on waivers today, which I think is something that they had to do in order to send him down to the AHL. Again, that also clears up some cap space if they do potentially make a move. There are some other guys, like, for example, I know our guy Mike is all in on this. Ryan Reeves, Toronto Maple Leafs, big guy, goon.
Micah wants
Mike
anyone
is
that's
all
ever
in
been
on
in a fight. Like if somebody is a hold me back guy, where every time they're at a bar, their friends know they got to hold them back. Micah wants him on the ice for the Canes. We know how Micah. Shout out to Micah. We know how he thinks.